Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. We're taking a deep, really compassionate look at Stephen Shabatsky's incredible coming-of-age novel, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. This isn't just your standard high school story. It's this raw, beautifully messy, and honestly sometimes agonizing look at that awkward transition from childhood into adulthood. We're going to trace the whole emotional evolution of our narrator, Charlie. So settle in and let's explore. Dear friend, I am writing to you because she said you listen and understand. That's how the text hooks us right from the jump. We're instantly pulled into this incredibly intimate, diary-like format. Our narrator, Charlie, is a teenager dealing with some really profound isolation. And he's not writing to someone he knows, it's to a totally anonymous friend. He even changes names to protect people's identities, mostly because he's not looking for a pen pal, right? He's desperately searching for a safe space just to exist. It sets up the whole story to feel way less like a novel and a lot more like a secret being whispered right into your ear. So, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, or As Vantagens de Ser Invisível, as it's known in the Portuguese edition we're pulling from, is a title that absolutely nails Charlie's initial state of mind. He feels invisible. He's the ultimate wallflower. Over the course of this explainer, we're going to track his incredible emotional journey. We get to watch him transform from this totally passive observer, completely cut off from his peers, into someone who finally finds his people and learns how to actually participate in his own life. Part 1. Letters from a Teenager, Charlie's Inner World. The story naturally unfolds through these dated letters, kicking off in late August of 1991. And the absolute genius of this structure is that we experience time passing exactly how Charlie feels it. We aren't getting bogged down in some strict chronological plot. Instead, we're really just riding the waves of his emotions. Sometimes letters are weeks apart, which kind of shows him withdrawing, and other times they hit back to back when he's just overflowing with new experiences. Now, in those early letters, the biggest things you notice are grief and isolation. Charlie is starting high school with this massive weight on his shoulders. He's mourning the recent suicide of his only middle school friend, Michael. And what's really striking is how he talks about it. He describes the school announcements, the super awkward counseling sessions, the whispers in the cafeteria, all with this highly literal, almost childlike innocence. He notes that Michael's dad didn't cry at the funeral and wonders if Michael had, quote, problems at home. He's trying so hard to apply logic to a totally illogical tragedy, and it just isolates him even more, because he literally cannot process the pain of the adult world around him. Part 2. The Weight of Trauma, Observing Pain. As we get deeper, the text hits us with some really jarring realities that Charlie watches happen but doesn't fully grasp. Like, he sees his sister's boyfriend strike her across the face, and he's just completely baffled when she stays quiet, accepts it, and then tells him to keep it a secret. Later on at a house party, he accidentally walks in on a horrific sexual assault involving a popular athlete and an intoxicated girl. He writes about these deeply disturbing events with this flat, objective tone that really just highlights how shocked and confused he is. And sort of hovering over everything is the memory of his favorite Aunt Helen. She lived with them because, as he says, bad things happened to her. Things he asked about as a kid until he got slapped for making her cry. So he's basically surrounded by all this trauma, just absorbing it like a sponge. Part 3. The Love We Deserve, a Guiding Lesson. This brings us to a massively crucial turning point. Charlie, feeling totally confused and troubled by all this, finally tells his advanced English teacher, Bill, about his sister's abusive boyfriend. And Bill says this, "Charlie, we accept the love we think we deserve." Wow, right? That single sentence is literally the thematic anchor of the entire text. It perfectly captures the tragic struggles of the people around him, like his sister settling for a guy who hits her, and honestly, even Charlie's own passive acceptance of being bullied and isolated. It's such a profound psychological truth, delivered incredibly simply. And that really begs a question that jumps right off the page and into our own lives. Why do we settle for less than we're worth? The text practically dares us to look at why people passively accept mistreatment, or unrequited love, or toxic relationships. It makes you reflect on your own self-worth, which is exactly why this is so much more than just a typical teen drama. Part 4. Finding the Tribe. Active Participation. So what's fascinating is how Charlie finally decides to try and, participate. He goes to a high school football game all by himself. And that's where he strikes up a conversation with Patrick, a quirky, super confident senior from his shop class, and Patrick's beautiful, kind stepsister, Sam. They end up inviting him out for food after the game. And for the very first time, people are actually asking Charlie questions about his own life. Like, what music do you like? What's your favorite book? It's a huge deal. It perfectly illustrates his shift from just watching life happen to actively participating in this amazing, chosen family. That sense of belonging gets beautifully cemented later at a house party. Patrick raises a glass and gives this incredibly affectionate pose to Charlie, calling him a wallflower. And the thing is, the text doesn't frame this as an insult at all. It's practically a superpower. A wallflower is someone who sees things, stays quiet about them, and understands. They recognize Charlie for exactly who he is, they validate his sensitivity, and they celebrate it. Truly, for the first time in his life, Charlie is seen. Part 5. The Duality of Youth. Hidden Struggles. Of course, the story also brilliantly tackles the duality of youth, mostly through the character of Brad. Now, publicly, Brad is the guy. He's the star quarterback, he's super popular, he dates a cheerleader, but his private reality is completely agonizing. He's in a secret, closeted relationship with Patrick. Brad is so terrified of losing his social status and facing the judgment of his conservative town that he literally forces himself to self-medicate with heavy alcohol and drugs just to cope with being intimate with the guy he loves. When Charlie accidentally walks in on them at a party, Patrick pulls him aside and asks him to keep it a secret. And when Charlie asks why, Patrick just says he's scared. Patrick accepts being kept in the dark, protecting Brad out of pure, unconditional love, even though it causes him immense pain to be totally ignored in the school hallways. It just shines a huge spotlight on the complex, painful, and honestly deeply moving adolescent relationships happening right under the surface of everyday high school life. Part 6. Feeling Infinite. Moments of Joy. Okay, let's look at how all this emotional weight builds into the absolute most iconic scene in the entire narrative. Charlie is riding in a pickup truck with Patrick and Sam after a school dance. Patrick is speeding toward the Fort Pitt tunnel. Sam climbs into the back of the truck, her dress just waving in the wind. And right as they enter the tunnel, all the outside noise is swallowed up, and the song Landslide is playing on the radio. Then, boom, they burst out the other side into the glowing lights of downtown. It's this perfect, cinematic collision of music, youth, and just absolute unbridled freedom. During this drive, Charlie experiences this incredible, profound awakening. He looks at his two best friends, he feels the crisp air, he hears the music, and he has this ultimate realization. He says, "And in that moment, I swear we were infinite." He survived his isolation, he is alive, he belongs, and the crushing weight of the world has finally lifted, even if it's just for a few minutes. It's this lingering emotional high that basically defines the entire story. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question that comes straight from Charlie's journey. What makes you feel infinite? Seriously, whether it's a favorite song, a late-night drive with friends, or just a moment of pure, unspoken understanding, think about those fleeting moments of connection in your own life. Because the true beauty of this text is that it reminds us to actively look for those moments and to hold on to them for dear life when they finally arrive. Thanks so much for joining me today. Keep learning, keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next one.